So you would very, very gently pull back on the skin between your cat's shoulders, just because it's generally looser there. Pull back on that and then let it go. If it remains in a tented shape and takes a long time to go back down to the body, that means that your cat is dehydrated. If it bounces back quickly, your cat is properly hydrated. Because again, one sign of dehydration is the loss of skin elasticity. So if the skin doesn't bounce back, it's lost some of its elasticity, and that means that your cat is dehydrated. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Water sucks. It really, really sucks. Y'all remember that? Gatorade. Okay, so today we're talking about water, the important roles of water, why it is essential and what it regulates, water consumption, requirements, and where it comes from, what to look for in water quality and how to test it, very interesting, and also a brief look at my water test results. All of the resources here. So a quick recap on water. Water is essential for life and is considered the most important nutrient. Our bodies are made up of mostly water, ranging around 70%. A loss of as little as 10% can cause serious illness, and a loss of 15% would be fatal without immediate treatment. So again, water is essential for life. There are 3 sources of water for animals. We have water and food. Whole prey are between 70 to 80% moisture. Fresh and wet food diets contain the same range. Dry food is only about 10% moisture. Metabolic water is produced during metabolism or the breakdown of energy-containing nutrients in the body, and drinking water. But cats have evolved from the desert and naturally have a lower thirst drive, so a fresh, high-moisture diet is best. If you've been with me for a long time, you already know this. Important roles of water. Water dissolves and transports substances around the body. Water is essential for enzymatic digestion of carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Water regulates body temperature and allows for heat circulation. It also helps regulate body temperature when it is evaporated from the skin and respiratory tract. Water provides shape and resilience to the body. Significant loss can result in clinical dehydration. One sign of dehydration is loss of skin elasticity. And I put this picture here of me pulling on Jericho's scruff because that's one way that you can test to see if your cat is dehydrated. So you would very, very gently pull back on the skin between your cat's shoulders, just because it's generally looser there. Pull back on that and then let it go. If it remains in a tented shape and takes a long time to go back down to the body, that means that your cat is dehydrated. If it bounces back quickly, your cat is properly hydrated. Because again, one sign of dehydration is the loss of skin elasticity. So if the skin doesn't bounce back, it's lost some of its elasticity, and that means that your cat is dehydrated. Water consumption. This table represents a study among 2 groups of beagles that were fed either a moist food diet with 75% moisture content or a dry food diet with 8% moisture. Then the beagles were fasted from food completely. Water drunk, water from food, and daily urine output were recorded during feeding and fasting. The pre-fast moist food dogs got most of their water from food. And you can see on the right in the chart, on the left represents the moist food group. This first column with the dark blue, that represents the water from food. The light blue represents water drunk. So you can see majority of the water consumption is from food. And the daily water drunk is very low compared to the dry food group. And the total water intake is also lower compared to the dry food group. The dry food pre-fast dogs had to drink so much more water. So you see on the right, that light blue bar pre-fast is the water drunk. And then that tiny, tiny, tiny little dark blue bar on top is the water from food. But interestingly, both groups of dogs consumed around the same amount of water when they were fasting. So the second group of bars shows that they're pretty equal with the amount of water drunk during the fast, so no food. So this shows us that more drinking water is required when feeding a dry food diet compared to a high moisture diet. Water requirements. The amount of water required daily in milliliters is equal to the amount of the animal's daily energy requirement in kilocalories. So for example, a cat consuming 250 kcal daily would require 250 milliliters of water daily total between the three water sources. Based on these numbers, the average cat eating dry food only would have to consume over 200 milliliters or 8 ounces of water daily just to stay hydrated. However, according to studies, cats can maintain water balance with no source of drinking water when eating foods that have at least 67% moisture. I've noticed with Jericho, the majority of his diet is chunks of raw meat, raw meaty bones, and organs. Some of it's ground, some of it's whole chunks. But I always add a little bit of water to it. And he never actually needs to drink water. But when I feed him the whole prey quail, which is about 67% moisture, now I cut it in half and just feed him the 2 halves. Those days, he does actually drink some water. And this picture represents the cat's daily needs on the left. This is 250 milliliters. And in the middle, that glass represents what the cat would get from wet food or 75% moisture food. So 177 milliliters. And so almost as much as the cat needs, but it shows that the cat would still need to drink water. And then on the right is kibble, 15.8, a measly 15.8 milliliters because it's so low in moisture. How much water does your cat need? Let's do an activity to see how much water your cat needs versus how much water he's actually consuming. So in the previous lesson, we discussed energy requirements and kcal of food. So use your cat's kcal and moisture content of the food to figure out how much water your cat needs and is actually getting. So the water requirements per day in milliliters is exactly equal to the kcal per day that your cat is consuming. So let's say you have 200 kcal per day, then 200 milliliters of water is required per day. Water from food that your cat gets is equal to your cat's requirement times the moisture content of the food. So let's say the food is 67% moisture. Your cat needs 200 milliliters of water. So we times that by 0.67, and that would give us 134 milliliters of water consumed from the food. So now we take 200 milliliters total requirement per day minus 134 milliliters from food, and we get 66 milliliters or roughly 2.2 ounces necessary from metabolic water and drinking water consumption. So that's the leftover. When you take away from food, the moisture that you're getting from the food, that's the extra water that would be required. Metabolic water. Metabolic water is one of 3 sources for cats. It is the water produced during metabolism or breakdown of macronutrients. Metabolic water can account for 5 to 10% of the total water requirement. So in the previous example, between 10 to 20 milliliters of water would come from metabolic water. So your cat would need to consume 46 to 56 milliliters or 1.5 to 1.9 ounces of drinking water daily to meet the daily requirements. Fat produces the greatest amount of metabolic water, 107 milliliters per 100 grams of food. Protein produces the least, 41 milliliters per 100 grams of food, so less than half the amount of fat. Water quality, very interesting subject here. Mineral content. High levels of magnesium in hard water have been implicated as a cause of urolithiasis in cats. However, this consumption amount is insignificant compared to food. Nitrates, so we have nitrate ions, NO3, commonly found in drinking water, is apparently well tolerated. However, nitrite, NO2, the reduced form of nitrate, is readily absorbed and can be toxic. High amounts of this also indicates high amounts of bacteria. Bacteria. The absence of coliform bacteria is the accepted criterion for people. The presence of this bacteria indicates the water is able to support infectious bacteria or viruses. Bacterial level will be high if levels of nitrates, nitrites, and phosphates are high. However, the only way to kill bacteria is with UV light, so there are no water filters that you can buy that will get rid of bacteria. Typically, they put chlorine in water to manage the bacteria, similar to how you put chlorine in a pool. Safe upper limits. Safe upper limits haven't been established for cats, of course, but for livestock animals, nitrate is 1,320 parts per million and nitrite is 33 parts per million. For humans, it's based on nitrogen, which would be 10 parts per million. Testing your water will require a water test kit for the specific source of water that you have and also where you're located. For example, a city water test kit for city water, a well water test kit for well water source, etc. And treatment, the types of filters that you use, depends on your specific test results. Water testing. So I consulted with my brother for this section. He works in water sanitation for both residential and commercial buildings. I found Simple Lab Tap Score water test kit and he said it looks great. So I use the advanced city water kit because I live in a city. Tap Score also has test kits for well water, rainwater, and spring water. So again, the test kit that you use is dependent on your individual water source. I chose Advanced City because it provides more advanced testing for not that much of a price difference compared to the less expensive Essential Kit option. The Advanced Kit has 109 analytes, including heavy metals, gases, VOCs, nitrites, nitrates, etc. They also have specialized test kits if you know that you want to test for something specific like mold, arsenic, fluoride, etc. But those kits are all individually sold separately. You can use the code in the description to save $10 off your purchase of $100 or more for the Tap Score water kits. How to test with Tap Score. So they provide everything that you need, including the instructions and a prepaid mailing label that goes straight to their lab. So read all the instructions before you begin. Refer to the included sampling guide to understand the different options for sampling location and method. Collect the samples. Large plastic bottle is the first straw recommended. So that's the first straw of water after being stagnant for 6+ hours. And then the glass vial is the fully flushed recommended, which is water collection after running the water for 5 minutes. So I did this first thing in the morning, left it stagnant overnight, and then as soon as I turned the faucet on, I collected the first straw, and then I just left it running for 5 minutes while I brushed my teeth and got Jericho's food ready. And then I filled the glass vial after 5 minutes of being flushed. Step 3, complete the online and card sample information. So sign into your account, they'll send you an email after purchasing. Complete all fields in the report ID, and then fill out the water sample info card, which is included in the package. And then you would also return that with the bottle samples. Step 4, ship everything to the lab, put everything back into the box, water sample info card, and the 2 sample bottles. A paid return shipping label is included. Then you would just drop it off at the carrier location. My Advanced City Water Kit also came with a chlorine test strip kit. So this is a self-test kit. Place the strip under the stream of water or fill a clean cup with water and place the strip into the water. And then you would compare the strip to the back of the card, take photos, and upload them to your self-test section in your online account. Taking a picture is really great. That way they can actually see the results. Sometimes with these, it's difficult to tell the color, so just upload a picture and they can tell you. My results. So my kitchen sink water got an average of 78 out of 99. The US average is 77, and the New York average, where I live, is 73. So I got above the average. C+, woo! There are 3 health risk concerns, 1 plumbing, and 1 aesthetics concern. I'm going to make a follow-up video going over my results with my brother, hopefully, and another video with my specific treatment plan. Up next, we'll talk about protein function requirements and do some comparisons. Please post your questions in the comments so I can gather FAQ and make videos with FAQ responses. Some things to prepare for now. See how much water your cat needs and is actually getting, and then comment below. Test your water quality. If you want to use Tap Score, again, there's a coupon code in the description. Treat your water quality based on their recommendations. Continue to transition your cat to better quality food, and of course, all transition plans are at my website, Caticles.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.